The basics on how movement works in Scratch. So we got Scratch the cat right here, and just going to work through every block in here. So the first block you have is how to move a sprite. Let's see if you want to move by a certain number of steps or just change the X and Y position. Now, move by 10 steps. Watch what happens. I drag this out here, I click. It moves by 10 pixels across the screen every time I click on that. You want it to go backwards? What you got to do is switch that to a -10. And so now when I click on this, he goes backwards. I can even have two of these blocks. So I want a -10, and maybe this is going to be a +10 block right here. That goes backwards, that goes forwards. You want it to be smaller steps. I can do 1 pixel at a time, and it's really slow. Or you can go bigger amounts, and it's going to be really high. Let's say 50. And he's going to go off the screen. Oh, almost off the screen until he gets to the edge right there. Now, other thing you might want to do is you might want to turn Scratch by a certain number of degrees. I can drag them over here. What if you want to rotate them around? All right. So the features to rotate them, we have these turn clockwise and counterclockwise right here. So 15 degrees, think of a 360-degree circle. This is going to rotate them, right? And I can do this to rotate counterclockwise, go backwards. So I can use those both to rotate. Now, what if you want to rotate to a certain position? Check out this point in direction. So let's say he's right here, but I want him to be facing to the right, which I want him to be facing to the right. So I'm going to say point in direction 90 degrees. All right. So, okay, 90 degrees is usually straight up, but 90, I think it's based off of 90 degrees is just going to, wherever that picture is. I don't know. You have to play around to make sure those numbers work. Oh, look at this. You can point that way. It's going to be pointing facing down. I'm guessing the 180 degrees. Well, that's interesting. So I guess they count zero. So it's not like a unit circle where 0 degrees would be on the right. 0 degrees is up. And then, oh, well, this is kind of neat. It'll tell you where you want to point. So there you go. If you want to set it to a direction, you can, or you can always turn. Now, you might also want to point towards something. So I can have him point towards the mouse pointer. Okay, that's kind of weird right now because my mouse pointer's not going on. But watch as I'm going to add a control in here, or I'm going to add a forever loop. I bet this works. So here's how this works. A forever loop this is just going to keep repeating forever now that I've clicked it. It's just going to follow my mouse. So it's basically rechecking this over and over. If you want it to follow a mouse, you can. Or if you wanted to do this in here, I'm going to add another sprite. I'm going to add Abby into here. So let's look in his code. I want him to point towards Abby. And I can move Abby around. Oops. I'm going to run his code. And I can move Abby around. And whenever Abby moves, now sprite 1 is going to follow. That's how point towards works. Maybe you want those directions to matter. All right. Next thing, go-tos. Maybe you want to go to a certain position or a random position, right? Not just movement. That just moves in whatever direction you're facing. So let's take Scratch the cat right here. I'm going to set him pointing this direction. And let's take our movement. So I want to go to a certain position. So check this go-to. Maybe I want the coordinates right here. You can see his position right here. His X, Y values are right here and right here. Maybe I want to set him at 0, 0 for some reason, right in the middle. And I click there, and that sets him dead in the middle, right? So you can set the go to X or go to Y position. This is good to like reset at the start of a scene to use those kind of commands. Maybe you want a random position. So check go to random position. Let's just go to some random position. Notice the coordinates are down here in his stuff. Maybe you want him to go to the mouse pointer. So guess what? I'm going to drag in this forever loop again, and he's just going to follow my mouse pointer. Kind of weird. Or maybe you want him to go to Abby. And I'm going to have that forever loop again, and then wherever Abby goes, he goes. You can do that kind of stuff. Go to is very neat. Random position or certain coordinates. Now you can actually, if what you can do instead of that kind of stuff is we can go to set the X and Y coordinates. Maybe you only want to change the X position. So you can set the X position of a Scratch maybe to 0. So I click this and whatever the Y position. So if he's down here, right, it just changes the X coordinates to 0. I can do the same thing with the Y value and say, set your Y value to -91. So no matter, it just goes back to that spot. Now, sometimes you might want to change the X value by 10. So watch this. You know how we did like a move forward like 10 steps? maybe I just want to change the X value by 10, so it just shifts it 10 more in the positive direction. This actually behaves, because he's facing to the right, behaves just the same way that movement does in my case. So that's another neat thing if you want to do some kind of movement, but it, it this movement's depending on which direction you are facing, you'll go forward. So for example, if he was turned rotated down and I say move forward 10 steps, he's going to go, he's going to go down in a slanting direction. If I say change X by 10, he's actually just going to shift on the X axis by 10. So different type of movement. Move is based on the how you direction you're facing, and change X is just based off the coordinates. All right. What else do we have on there? Position, no. Setting X and Y. I think we did this. We have this neat thing. If on the edge, bounce. So I wonder. Okay, I'm gonna try this. So this is kind of a random thing. He's just gonna keep moving forward 10 steps, and what he should do is when he gets to the edge, he should bounce. So if I do this, so this if edge bounce, that might be kind of advancing to play with, but it's a way like if you have like a game or something bouncing around the screen, when it gets to the edge, it'll rotate, it'll flip directions. So that's kind of neat. Okay. Try those out if you need it. Other last thing on here, glide. So glide's kind of neat. Glide, and we have two different glides over here. I am going to I'm going to point him in the direction again. I'm actually going to put him right back here. Okay. I want to glide him to a random position. So glide, he'll go to a random spot. So it's going to pick an X and Y value, but not appear there instantly. He's just going to like kind of move over there slowly. You can make it take more time. I want to say 5 seconds. And you can go to a random position. Okay, 5 seconds is way too long. Maybe 2 seconds. And I want him to go to my maybe not mouse pointer. I'm going to say random direction still. Maybe I want him to go to Abby. So I'm going to move Abby over here. I'm going to go back to Cat. And it takes 2 seconds to go over there. So glide's a way to like, it's so you don't have to like do each of those individual steps. If you know you want him to glide to a certain spot, you can. You can actually do glide by coordinates. So maybe I want him to glide back to the center over 1 second. So no matter where he is, he'll glide back to the center. Glide back to certain coordinates. So kind of a smooth transition rather than trying to do the steps and stuff yourself. So try out glide, change the times. That's it for those functions. That's it for the video.